Ready to go. Oh my gosh, ready to... Oh. Just out of shot. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Getting ready to go. Getting ready to start the day. Good morning, Ashen. Right. Realized I just didn't put this up on Brightspace. Oh well. It'll go up soon. Oh, thanks. Hope you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed them. It was kind of fun. Oh yeah, I should probably open this. Just gonna. Okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna copy it. Boom. Good morning, good morning. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay, cool. Alright, get rid of that. 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 Alright. Let's put this up on Brightspace. Fairly interactive class today. Heading up on the docket. So, we're going to be doing a lot of pull everywhere stuff, so make sure your phone or you're on your computer, obviously, I suppose. So make sure that's ready so you can participate in those polls, because I am curious. Morning, everyone. Let's go put this on the BS. Let's go put the BS on the BS, shall we? While we're getting ready for the schooling stuff. The schooling. The schooling. Okay. Let it do, let it do, let it do, let it do, let it do. Okay, that's up on Brightspace, so if you want to go grab those slides now, you can go to Brightspace and download them. That's what we're talking about, plus some more, of course. Although, if you don't want to ruin the experience, don't look at them yet. Don't look at them yet. Oh, you know what I want to look at? Is whether or not when your next quiz is. I gotta put that up. COVID 2. Syllabus COVID 2. Okay, so it's on Thursday. So I'm gonna put that up for y'all on Thursday. It's gonna be the same sort of thing. I'll send out an email. But we don't need to worry about any claims this week. Final 2 claims are due next week. Quiz on Thursday. I'll put those questions up. You'll have the whole day Thursday. No stream on Thursday. That sort of thing. I'll reiterate this once we start class. I know. Make sure people are here. Make sure people are here. Do some heuristics. Some heuristics. Fish sticks. Yep. How was everyone's weekend? What'd y'all get up to? It was nice outside. What'd y'all get up to? Hope you had a pretty chill Monday night, too. Worked all weekend. Where do you work, Christine? It always, I don't know, alarming's probably not the word, but it is surprising to hear about so many people working Olive Garden in a counseling place. Okay, Ashton, where do you work? So you still have to go into Olive Garden? Are people still going to the restaurant? They shouldn't be. Are you just doing takeout orders? Welcome, Illuminati. Jalen, welcome. CVS, your pharmacy tech. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Obviously an essential function right now. Obviously essential function. Okay. Very good. Curbside. Curbside. People are rude? I am so sorry. Meredith, great. So glad you could make it. I'm so sorry that people are being rude to y'all. That's just ridiculous. People need to get their acts together, right? They need to get their freaking acts together. Come on. Oh boy. Yeah, as you do in the food industry. I remember doing that. I worked at McDonald's when I was in high school. Luckily got out of that for a better job in my senior year. But, and they always put me in drive-thru. The worst. At least it was one person at a time. When you had to do, like, counter, that sucked. It was just, like, everybody clamoring at the counter. Drive-thru blows, though. Yeah. I hope people are tipping well, to be honest. Hope people are tipping well. Alrighty, so let's have a bit of a chat about heuristics. How about fish sticks? Okay. Just kidding, not fish sticks. Why would we talk about fish sticks? All right. So, this is the last bit of material before quiz 3. So as I was saying a few minutes ago, yeah, McDonald's solidarity, Elena. quiz 3 is on Thursday, so there is no stream on Thursday. It's going to be the exact, well, it's not the exact same thing, but it's going to be the exact sort of format that we did for quiz 2, which was, you get the whole day to do it, 5, short answer questions, and a bonus, okay, and a bonus. The grab bag psych stuff will not be quizzed. Okay, so that's not, you won't see that on the quiz, because that was just a fun Q&A that we did. So so you don't have to worry about going back through those slides and remembering all the information that I said about that. I'm pretty sure I said that the day that we did it, but if you were unsure, yeah, you don't need to worry about that stuff. We were just exploring. Which means that even though I would have talked about dreams when we were talking about consciousness, and I may have asked you a question about dreams, you don't have to worry about dreams, because that was moved. So I will not ask you a question on the quiz about dreams. I will probably ask you a question about sleep, but not about dreams. So let me know if there are any questions. Just ask them in chat as we go through today's stuff. Was there another announcement that I needed to... Oh, and then the other announcement was that the final 2 claims, I will send those out on Thursday, and they're both due next week. One is due on Tuesday, and one is due on Thursday. Okay? So that is the plan. And then we have, after that, we have a few more weeks of 2 more investigation days for those claims, a couple of other things, and then the rest is about psychopathology, psych disorders, and therapy those last few days, because we aren't watching the film. And then the day that the final quiz will be available will be when the final exam period is, the day of the final exam period, and you can do it whenever you want to, so that's what we're gonna do. So that's the nature of the class. Pretty chill. So if you've done all the claims, Christine, yeah, so I'm still dropping one at the end of the semester. So that's still gonna happen. So yeah, if you've done them all and you've gotten full credit on all of them, then you can slack off on one. That's the beauty of the drop. Yeah. So that's a good question. Yeah. You can do one, you could do both, you could do none. It doesn't matter. Alright. So we're going to talk about heuristics today. Well, we've talked about heuristics here and there throughout the semester. And so this is just all the remaining ones that I like talking about. So one of them has to do with my graduate level research that I did. Another one has to do with some famous psych folks, and that's essentially the interactive part of today. So as I was saying at the start of the stream, we'll be doing a lot of pull everywhere. So get that. I want to get that ready to go. I don't remember what video, but I probably shouldn't play it. Oh no, I am gonna play this one. It's gonna have this sweet ambient background music. So if you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, oh boy, do it. It is such a good movie. Oh my god, it's such a good movie. And this scene particularly is my favorite. Okay? It's probably going to be flagged for copyright, but you know what? Whatevs. It's too good. It's too good to pass up. Terry Jones and Graham Chapman. Oof. So good, right? So good. She turned me into a newt. I want to go better. So, there's some good referencing of representativeness heuristic there. And so we'll go over that in just a few minutes. But what I wanted to show you, so we don't actually have time to go through all of these. So these are all of your cognitive biases. These are, and don't worry that you can't read it, because you don't need to read it. It is astounding how many cognitive biases we have. And they're essentially 4 categories of where these biases fall into. 1, what do we remember? 2, when we have too much information. When we need to act fast, which is pretty much all of our lives, right? And then not enough meaning. So those are, broadly speaking, the 4 main categories for all of these biases. You could go an entire semester just going through each of these biases and probably not. It's over 100. Over 100 biases. Cognitive biases. So these are mistakes and issues with our thinking. Okay? Not always wrong. Not always wrong. Heuristics are right most of the time. Not always wrong. But yet, these are issues with either rational thought, working against our own goals, working against our own interests, making errors in the wrong ways, whether that leads to death or dismemberment or maiming of some kind. Overconfidence, we've talked about that. People who are familiar with us are familiar with the things that we know. People are nicer because they're good looking, and so, all of these things fit into this huge wheel, right? So, before we continue, I want to read to you the first one that I want to talk about. So this is from the Oatmeal, and this is the clean version, because there's a lot of swear words in it. I didn't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we are going to read this together, or I'm going to read it to you. You can see underneath here the slides. So you could also go to the website and read it you want, but we'll do story time. How about that? Story time. So many celebrities are doing story time these days. I thought, you know what? Why not me? All right. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. This is the classroom-friendly version. I'm going to tell you some things. Oh, this also has a ton to do with information about coronavirus and COVID right now. This is 100% timely and useful information, okay? Or at least I think so. You may not, but at least I think so. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. I'm going to tell you some things. You're not going to believe the things that I tell you. And that's okay. You have good reason not to. But I need you to keep listening, regardless of what you believe. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, or somewhere in between. I don't care if you're a cat person, a dog person, or a tarantula person. A morning person or a night owl. iPhone or Android, although iPhone. Coke or Pepsi, but let's be honest, Coke. I don't care. All I care about is that you read this until the end. To the end, excuse me. Sound good? Yeah? Okay. Let's begin. You may have heard that George Washington had wooden teeth. I put the fur in First Amendment. He lost most of his teeth in his 20s and had a set of dentures made out of wood. It's a disturbing visual. Let's look at it again. The founding father, commander-in-chief, and the first president of the United States click-clacking his way through a ham sandwich. Would you like a bite? That's a pun. Except it isn't true. In 2005, at the National Museum of Dentistry in Baltimore, laser scans were performed on Washington's 200-year-old dentures and found them to be made of gold, lead, hippopotamus ivory, horse and donkey teeth. Wow. I get the gold. The lead probably is what killed him. Hippopotamus ivory. That's nice. Horse and donkey teeth? They must have been the baby teeth of the horse and the donkey. His mouth was a petting zoo of nightmares. Indeed. And, lest you wonder, these are the sources. Okay. Upon learning this information, I want to ask you something. How did you feel to learn this new fact about George Washington's teeth? Let me know in chat, quickly. How did you feel? What did it make you feel? Careless. I imagine that you don't. You mean that you don't care, Ashton? Like a unicorn? That's strange, Tatavian. No. You feel what you feel, man. You feel your feelings, Ashton. Disgusted? Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Pet menagerie of different teeth. Gross. Interested and amazed. Okay. Okay. Already knew this. Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah. Interested? Okay. Alright. Surprised. Grossed out and interested. Like it. Alright. Good stuff. Alright. I have a feeling that you'll want to know more. I stated a thing. I provided evidence of that thing. And presumably, you now believe the thing that I stated. Presumably, your belief in the composition of George Washington's teeth has changed with little or no friction. Yeah? You accept the new outcome of his teeth? No longer wood. A petting zoo denture nightmare? Aw, look, they're hugging. Presumably, the next time you're at a party and George Washington's teeth come up in conversation, bring it up. You're going to proudly impart this newfound knowledge to your fellow partygoers. Yeah, be the life of the party. Everyone will crowd around you and they're like, what other trivia do you know? And you're like, well, let me tell you. Yes? Terrific. Let's continue. What if I told you George Washington had another set of false teeth? Say what? What if I told you this other set wasn't made from wood, ivory, or any of the aforementioned materials? What if I told you that it was made from the teeth of slaves? Sources. Uh-oh. How does that make you feel? Now, let's try this again. How did it feel to learn this fact about George Washington? How did it feel? You tell me. You tell me how this feels. I'm not going any further. You tell me whether or not... Okay. Ashton doesn't like where this is going. Fair. Elena says hell no. Leono says mad. Uncomfortable? confused, that's fair. I'm shocked if that's true. It is what it is if true. That was just life back then. Uncomfortable. What the? Lost. I'm sorry, Datavian. Hopefully we'll find you. It's a bit icky, isn't it? It's a bit icky. You feel that friction of like, no, I want it to be the animal teeth. The metal and animal teeth. No, let's go back to wood. Please, anything. Anything but the teeth of slaves. Let's go back to wood. Let's just have a good story about our first president. The guy who single-handedly won the revolution, the American Revolution. Let's go back to those days. Doesn't make us feel very good, does it? Before we go any further, allow me to reiterate. I am not here to convince you that George Washington was a bad person. I could go through all of my cited sources and cherry-pick arguments that either deify or demonize George Washington. I could paint a portrait of a monster, or I could exonerate a patriot. But as I said before, I don't care. It's not the point. It's not the point. And to answer your question, Christine, I don't know. Probably either. They were slaves, after all. It's entirely possible that they yanked them out of a live slave's mouths. Which is gruesome and awful and aberrant, and yeah, don't ever do that. It's not the point. The point is to give you an emotional barometer of how you feel when presented with new ideas. Because you may have noticed that the first fact about George Washington's teeth was rather easy to accept. Odd, gross, but acceptable. I would even wager that when I told you the first fact, you accepted it without question. Oh my, how gosh darn interesting. You can imagine what the unclean version of that says. But when I told you the second fact, you immediately checked my sources. I didn't, but they're there. And are now furiously composing an informed yet incendiary retort, which you will boldly deliver to me in the form of a sour, blustering Facebook comment. I hate your entire everything, you miserable bumfart. And that's okay. That's all part of it. Let's try a few more. Napoleon Bonaparte was not short. He was 5'7", which is taller than the average Frenchman at the time. Okay? See, you must be this tall to conquer Europe, and he didn't, because at Waterloo he failed. So, you know. Thomas Crapper did not invent the flush toilet. Okay? Nor did the word crap come about because of his name. My legacy is total crap. We don't call it a crapper because of Thomas Crapper. Houseflies live for about a month, not 24 hours. Life is short. False. I mean, relatively speaking. Humans don't explode in a vacuum, nor do we boil. We pass out from the lack of oxygen, and then we die. 3 emotional phases of being blown out of an airlock. Shock, shock, oh god, still in shock. Sources for that. Just lest you again disagree. Again, as you read these facts, take stock of how you feel. I'm guessing you soften to the last few fairly easily. They're inconsequential to your life. Or to your identity, right? Unless you plan on, being blown out of an airlock in space and seeing whether or not you survive. Let's try a few more and then we're done. There is 0 evidence that Jesus Christ was born on December 25th. That's cool. I don't mind if you forgot my birthday for the past 2,000 years. The Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist. 6 of the 7 justices who voted in favor of Roe v. Wade, the access to abortion decision, were Republican appointed. How'd those last 3 feel? Depending on your beliefs, I'm guessing it may have put some of you at about here. Rage face. Maybe some of you are like, meh. At the very least, you can concede that it felt different to hear those statements compared to the ones about Napoleon or house fires. Houseflies. House fires. Yes, but why? Why do we easily soften to some ideas but not to others? Why do we gnash our teeth when presented with evidence counter to our beliefs? Why do we not only ignore this evidence but dig our heels in deeper and believe more strongly in the opposing argument? Why would more evidence make someone less likely to believe in an idea? It seems backwards and bath bum crazy bonkers to me. You can imagine what the unclean version says. It turns out that bath bum crazy bonkers has a name in the world of neuroscience. Psychology. It's called the Backfire Effect. And it's a well-documented psychological behavior. Ooh, look at that. Mythbusters said if you do it at the right angle, it will go. A few years ago, at the University of Southern California's Brain and Creativity Institute, a study was conducted where participants were placed in an MRI machine. That's what they look like. Whee! Once inside, they were presented with counter-arguments to strongly held political beliefs. A few examples include laws restricting gun ownership should be made more restrictive. Gay marriage should not be legalized. You see what he did with his colors, by the way? This is actually a left argument, and this is a right argument. A liberal conservative, but he switched the colors that are, generally speaking, associated with those two political ideologies. I like that. It's a nice little touch. Nice little touch. As participants were read these counter-arguments, various parts of their brains were scanned for activity. Pew! What the study revealed was that the part of the brain that responds to physical threat also responds to an intellectual one. The area of the brain is known as the amygdala, and it's the emotional core of your mind. Mostly. Unfortunately, it makes us biologically wired to react to threatening information the same way we'd react to being attacked by a predator. Okay? Facts and figures is the same as an alligator or crocodile with a knife. From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense. If you were a caveman and another caveman threw a boulder at your head, you wouldn't react biologically debating the pros and cons of getting brained. Frank jealous of Jeff's nice cave. Frank kill Jeff and take cave. Goodbye, Jeff. Now, Frank, I think objectivity is key here. Core beliefs are the beliefs which people cherish the most deeply. You all have core beliefs. They usually develop from childhood and are compounded by life experiences. Core beliefs are inflexible, rigid, and incredibly sensitive to being challenged. A belief is squishy and delicious. Olives are delicious. They are not, in fact, delicious. A core belief is ironclad. God created velociraptors. When I told you that George Washington's dentures were made from animal bones, it probably didn't ruffle many feathers. But when I suggested they were made from slave teeth, I'm guessing it caused strife with some of you. There are obvious cultural reasons for this issue. Slavery is a sensitive, hot-button issue. Of course it is. But there are biological reasons as well. The amygdala of your brain is screaming, "Battle stations! Have no fear, I will kill it with swords." S-words. Some of you may have held a worldview that George Washington was a patriot and a hero. By representing negative information about him, it challenged that worldview. Your brain loves consistency. It builds a worldview like we build a house. It has a foundation and a frame and windows and doors, and it knows exactly how everything fits together. If a new piece is introduced and it doesn't fit, toot toot, the whole house falls apart. Toot toot toot, oh no, the house is broken, oh no. Your brain protects you by rejecting that piece. Halt. No. And then it builds a fence and a moat and refuses to let in any visitors. This is why we have the Backfire Effect. It's a biological way of protecting a worldview. Just remember that your worldview isn't a perfect house that was built to last forever. It's a cheap condo. It's a cheap condo. And over time, most of it will fall apart. So, what do we do about this? Some of you have probably nodding along in agreement, waiting for me to deliver a series of clever, combative ways to offset the Backfire Effect. The disappointing truth is that I don't have much advice for you. I don't have a way to change the behavior of 7.5 billion people carrying their beliefs around like precious gems wrapped in hand grenades. Sure, there are ways of changing people's minds that are more effective than others, but ultimately they fall short. This is compounded by the internet, where anything can be cited as a source, and every disagreement degrades into a room full of orangutans throwing feces at one another. Wrong, 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 you are wrong, somebody's wrong on the internet, I must tell them that they are wrong on the internet. The best I can do is make you aware of it, so you can identify the Backfire Effect in your own brain. Which isn't easy. The mind can separate the emotional cortex from the mind can't separate the emotional cortex from the logical one. And one could argue that this is the emotional underbelly is what is reading. And one could argue that this emotional underbelly is what makes us human. But I would argue that this is also what makes us animals. I hate your whole everything. I hate you too, Travis. I sometimes pretend the amygdala of my brain is my pinky toe. When a core belief is challenged, I imagine it yelling insane things at me. 1 + 3 is 4. Don't listen, Matt! 1 + 3 is tacos! I let it yell. Every mathematician in the world just confirmed that it's 4. That's just a conspiracy of taco haters! I have to let it have its moments. How can the sum of 2 integers be Mexican food? Don't disrespect my beliefs! I let the emotional cortex fight its little fight, and then I listen, and then I change. Because the universe of ours is so achingly beautiful, and we're all in it together. We're all going in the same direction. I'm not here to take control of the wheel, or tell you what to believe. I'm just here to tell you that it's okay to stop. To listen. To change. Thanks, Matt. Matt Inman, the Oatmeal. Yeah, I mean, your pinky toe is a tiny little MFer, right? So it's got to have a high-pitched whine that you're just like, whatever, man. Whatever, man. All right, so that's the Backfire Effect, and that's a great message to end with, as far as Matt Inman's concerned. Ads are going to be a thing, Matty. Twitch got to make that money. All right, next one. We mentioned this a little bit when we were talking about, perception and attention. So I just have a little trick for you. Can you spot the thing that's changing in this flash? Also, if you don't like flashes, stop looking at it. Tell me in chat what you see is changing. First person gets a bit of a prize. VIP, channel VIP status, it's fine. First person to spot it. Whitney wins. Whitney, you are now a channel VIP. Oh my god. You should feel so happy. It's amazing. Yeah, so it's the, I can actually point it out. see the cursor? See my cursor? Let me shake it so it gets big. Come on, cursor. There it is. Nah. It's right here. So, change blindness, you know, is not recognizing small, incremental, inanimate changes in our environment because we already have the gist of the environment. So who cares? That's how magicians fool you. That's how magicians tell us that magic is real, right? The next one is patternicity. Finding patterns and meaning in ambiguous or meaningless stimuli. I think one or two of you talked about numerology in your pseudoscience papers. So numerology is like the big one. But there's also a really fun one, which is pareidolia, which is seeing faces in inanimate objects. So you should see a face in each of those, because faces are something that we're really good at perceiving, and so we perceive them when we see the structure of a face in anything, right? So, you know, the fading froth of this latte looks like a really happy camper. This guy right here is flipping you the bird with a big old grin on his face. Oh man, this mop is very angry. This mop looks like it wants to murder you. And this jumbo jet kind of reminds me of Cars / planes, you know, the Pixar universe, right? But it's really just the nose part of the fuselage open, right? But it just looks like he's so happy to be flying. He's like, I just want to just get you from point A to point B in the air. This is my job, and I love doing my job. Okay? So that's patterns. All right. I have a task for you all. This is where the interactivity starts. So we're going to do another availability heuristic demo. Okay, so grab a Word doc or a sheet of paper for this, because we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay. All right. You're going to follow my verbal instructions. Okay? Are we ready? This is where I'm going to show you that I am psychic or Datavian telepathic. I said no the other day. This is where I tell you that I can actually do it over the internet. It's a series of tubes. All I need to do is go through those series of tubes. All right, pick a number between 1 and 9. So 1 through 9. So a single digit number, 1 through 9. Pick that number. Subtract 5 from it. Okay? Subtract 5 from it. So you take your number, pick it, subtract 5. Okay? Take that difference and multiply it by 3. So if you have a negative number, that's fine. We'll take care of it on the next step. Okay? So pick a number 1 through 9, subtract 5, multiply by 3. Step 4. Square that number. That'll get rid of the negative. Square that number. So multiply it by itself. Okay? Now this is what I want you to do. This next step 5 is a little bit more involved. I want you, of the what you should have is a 2-digit number, right? I want you to add those digits together until you only get 1 digit, Okay, so let's say you ended up with 64, which is 8 squared, right? Excuse me. So 64. 6 plus 4 equals 10. You have to go another step. 10 is 1 plus 0 equals 1. Okay, so if your number adds to a... If the number that you got from squaring you add those two numbers together, the two-digit numbers together, ends up as a two-digit number, you have to do it again. If it doesn't, then you're done. So you should end up with a single-digit number. Okay? So again, if you ended up with 64, for example, you do 6 plus 4, that equals 10. You can't stop there. 1 plus 0 equals 1. Now that's where you stop, okay? So step 6, if the number is less than 5, add 5. Otherwise, subtract 4. Okay? If it's less than 5, add 5. If you have 5, then you subtract 4. Okay? So 4, 3, 2, or 1, subtract 4. 5 and above. I'm sorry. I messed that up. 4, 3, 2, or 1, add 5. If it's 5 to 9, subtract 4. Multiply by 2. Multiply that number by 2. Subtract 6 from that multiplication, from that product. Subtract 6. Now, what you're going to do is the number that you end up with, you're going to give it a letter. And so we're just going to do this in the order of the alphabet versus the order of the numbers, right? So 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, all the way to 9, right? Now, once you end up with your letter, pick a name of the country that begins with that letter. You have to know some geography for this one. Take the second letter in the country name and think of a mammal that begins with that letter. Finally, think of the color that is commonly associated with that mammal. Okay? So, while you do that, I'm going to... The internet. Must use my brain powers. All right. So I've got gray elephants in Denmark, brown otters in the Dominican Republic, possibly some spotted jaguars in Djibouti, how right am I? You let me know. How right am I? Say in chat. Let me know. Put it in chat. Incorrect? All right. Ashton, what'd you have? Leono, what'd you have? Ah, you got an elk in Denmark. All right. Still got Denmark, though. Christine, yeah. It's entirely possible to get lost. It's not a big deal. Alright, that's fair, Ashton. Which means I wasn't incorrect. Got lost. Eagle in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Love it. Love it. Brown otter in Dominican Republic. Boom. What? Yeah. A little bit of fun for y'all. Okay, so next one. So that was the availability heuristic. Things that, see, the math that I all had you do was getting you to D. So the answer would have been 4. The final number you would have gotten was 4. Okay, and so Dominican Republic, Djibouti, Denmark, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Any D countries, and then, you know, listing out all of the countries allows the so anyways, easiest elements come to the mind best, right? So the things that we think about most, which is why most people put elephant down instead of elk, but in you know, echidnas. You could have done echidna, right? But that's the availability heuristic, and so that is what I've repeated throughout the semester. When we first watched the Summer of the Sharks, and then we talked about availability heuristic a couple of weeks ago, that sort of thing. You must think often about the DRC, yeah, Maddie. So let's chat about the representativeness heuristic. So this one applies to the clip from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, okay? So this is the idea that the probability that A, the woman, is a member of Class B, witches, can be determined by how well the properties of A, the woman, resembles property normally associated with witches. Okay? So the woman is A, Class B is witches. A, witches. Gray elephant in DRC, there might actually be some gray elephants in DRC, Slayer Darth. And so how we come to this computation, okay? I put computation in air quotes because it is not a real computation. It's not an algorithm. It's a bias. It's a heuristic. It's a shortcut, okay? So one of the ways that we come to this conclusion about whether a particular item A is in Class B based on how it resembles Class B characteristics is one, by using the base rates. Okay, these are the probabilities that we are aware of. This is the numerical information that we are aware of. And so there's no other information, and so we have to rely on base rates. But now if there's a descriptive element to it, the nose, the wart, the dress of the woman, that's stereotypic or diagnostic information. And when that's present, we actually do not rely on this base rate information. So let me show you an example. So when you have descriptive information, you ignore base rates. All right, so here is a study of 1,000 people were tested. Okay, 1,000 people. Among the participants, there were 995 engineers and 5 lawyers. And so in this study, we randomly chose one of those 1,000 people to describe. They gave information about themselves in the study. It's fake. Jack is a randomly chosen participant of this study. Jack is 36 years old. He is married and is somewhat introverted. He likes to spend his free time reading science fiction and writing computer programs. What is most likely? Is Jack an engineer or is Jack a lawyer? Now, the interesting thing about this one... The interesting thing about this one is that the base rate information, 995 engineers, coincides with this diagnostic information, but nobody's really paying attention to this information. Most people are focused on what Jack is, or what he claims to be the characteristics of Jack. But the normative answer, that is what the statistics show you, is that Jack would likely be an engineer. People would choose that Jack is likely an engineer. And if we ascribe the correct answer to the probabilistic or normative answer, the fact that there are 995 engineers in this sample, then people are definitely going to choose the alignment between these two bits of information. The base rates, which is right here, okay, 995 and 5, and the stereotype or diagnostic information, which is this paragraph here. This is called the lawyer-engineer problem, but because you can change it to more than just lawyers and engineers, it was then renamed to base rate neglect problems. So let me make a small change, okay? Let me make a small change. So now I have... Oops. Whoops. In a study of 1,000 people, 1,000 people were tested. Among the participants, there were 5 engineers and 995 lawyers. Jack is randomly chosen. Nothing about the rest of the problem is different, but I have made a change, right? Down there are only 5 engineers and 995 lawyers. But you still have this stereotypical description of an engineer. Now, you may not have this stereotypical information about an engineer. This could be a lawyer. This could be how a lawyer acts, but it also could be how an engineer acts. And most people think that it's an engineer, right? And so what ends up happening is now the base rates and the stereotype information, the blue and the red, are at odds with each other. And if you've set the normative correct answer to Jack being a lawyer because there are 995 lawyers, you're going to end up with problems where people just focus on this red information because that's the representativeness of Jack A to class B, which is engineers, okay? Which is what this stereotype description is indicating, right? And you can see that error rates are typically from 60 to 80%. So some people do choose the base rate answer, don't neglect it, but most of the time people neglect that information, Slayer Dart. All right. So let me make this. Excuse you. Oh, I gotta hold on. I just realized. I need to... Where are you? There it is. Oh, it is open. Oh, okay. I gotta sign into it, everyone. Super annoying. This is my life. All right. Back to it. All right. There we go. All right. Excuse you. Ah! There we go. God, stupid poll everywhere. Ah! There we go. Stop it! Pull everywhere. Jeez. Alright, Linda is 31 years old, single, outspoken, and very bright. She majored in philosophy. As a student, she was deeply concerned with issues of discrimination and social justice. and also participated in anti-nuclear demonstrations. This is from the 1970s, so just be aware of the timeliness of the anti-nuclear demonstrations. Which is more probable? A, Linda is a bank teller, or B, Linda is a bank teller and is active in the feminist movement? Go ahead and jump to Poll Everywhere and take a bite out of crime here. As fast as possible. I have a few more of these. Hopefully they're not going to be as dumb as this one did. A or B? A or B? Datavian on your phone, so it shows up. There we go. I can't aggregate it in chat there. All right. Alrighty. So, looking like most people think that B is the case, and that is the incorrect answer. Okay, B is the incorrect answer. Oh, I see. It's fair. So, the conjunction fallacy indicates another cognitive bias that we have, which is we think that events that seemingly go together are more probable than single events. But with the way that probabilities work, that actually can't be true, because of when you use the word "and" to describe events connected, the conjunction, right? That's what "and" is, conjunction. Conjunction function, conjunction junction, what's your function? And, but, blah, 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 you know, Schoolhouse Rocks. And indicates a multiplication of probabilities. And when you multiply probabilities together, you get a smaller number, right? Because probabilities are decimals, yeah? From 0 to 1. And so when you multiply decimals together, as you learned in grade school, when you multiply them together, you get smaller decimals, okay? And so if we're going to add events together, then we're going to get smaller probabilities. Okay. Another way to do this is with Euler Circles, which is what this is. It's an Euler Circle. So here's the class of bank tellers, and then here's the subclass of feminist bank tellers. So if I were to then add another descriptive piece of information to feminist bank tellers with brown hair, that would be a circle then within this orange circle. Okay? And then if I added another modifier to that, feminist bank tellers with brown hair and are under 5'5", then that would be a smaller circle even still. Okay? And so you have to, so when you combine events or when you combine modifiers, that changes the probability of whether or not that occurs, right? And a very single piece in this Euler circle within this ever reducing circle here, right? Because it's smaller, we get Linda. We get that instance of Linda, okay? Next one, framing, okay? I'm going to give you a series of questions that I want you to answer based on your personal choice, okay? But before we do that, I want to describe what framing is first. So framing has to do with changing the surface structure of a problem. So we're not going to change the underlying logic of the problem. So if I were to reword a problem, that has the same technical outcome. Okay? The deep structure, the logic of the problem is the same, which you'll see in a few examples in just a second. I'm slightly going to change the surface features of them. Okay? And that's what message framing is. That's what problem framing is. We're going to change the surface features, so it's going to change the way that you think about the problem, and it's going to invoke some biases, and those biases, according to the frame, is what is appropriate, is an appropriate response to do, because, you know, we're all just trying to make decisions up in here, trying to make the best rational decisions we can, okay? So this is the first example, okay? So imagine that you decided to see a play and paid $20 for the admission price of one ticket. As you arrive, you discover that you have lost the ticket. The theater keeps no records, so the ticket cannot be recovered. Would you pay $20 for another ticket? Yes or no? A or B? Slayer Darth, yes. You change little details without changing the semantic meaning. Yep. So far, 100% say no. No, sorry, Bob, I don't want that. Don't get it away from me. Stupid play, stupid theater. I'm never coming back to you. You'll never get my business again. Has everyone said no so far? Jeepers. Okay, there's yes. Okay, so more people are saying no. To the bar we go! Didn't want to see that stupid play anyways. Stupid play. Cancel all the arts! Alright, well, what if I worded it to you this way? If imagine that you decided to buy a ticket for a play where the admission price of one ticket is $20. As you enter the theater, you discover that you have lost a $20 bill. Would you still pay $20 for the ticket to the play? $50-50 on this one. 50-50. Oh, more no's. Man, people don't like... back to 50-50. Neck and neck. What's gonna happen? Ooh. Oh, I'm so worried. I'm so worried. It's 50-50. Split. It was 75-25 on the last one. Most people did not want to go see that play. Some people were like, I'll find the $20 later. It's different, isn't it? Assume that you do, Slayer Darth. Assume that you do. So, let me break this framing down, right? So, the lost ticket condition, the first question that we did, okay? Imagine that you decide blah, 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 blah. So, what's happening in your brain is that the ticket seems like it's going to cost twice as much. So, it costs $40 in your mind, right? So, as opposed to the ticket costing $20, it wasn't your fault that you lost the ticket. Well, yeah, I guess it was your fault that you lost the ticket, sorry. But it's also the theater's fault for not, keeping records. Why would they not keep records of purchasers, right? And so it feels like the ticket costs $40, and that's just not... I did not sign up for a $40 play. I'll tell you what. This is contrasted with the lost money condition, Okay? So there's the text of the thing. So here's the thing. You think to yourself, the money that you lost, the $20 that you lost, is not directly related to the ticket. And so it's still $40. That's the underlying logic of both of these frames. So it's the same problem, same question, $40. But 20 of the dollars in this condition does not equal $20 in that condition. Okay? In the lost ticket condition. So the idea here is you have different biases occurring because of the framing, okay, and the circumstances. So people avoid buying the second ticket, as we saw. More people are willing to buy the ticket after losing $20, which we saw. Thanks for playing, everyone, and going into... falling right into my trap. Here's the next one. Okay, so this is the second example. You're the mayor of a small town of 600 residents. Oh boy. Look at what I did. Why would I do that? That's just... A virulent disease is headed your way. It's called coronavirus. You know there will be some hard decisions moving forward to lessen the impact of this deadly disease, and it is deadly. Okay, mortality rates like climb into 3% here. You have two options to save your town. Oh, somebody jumped the gun on me. If program 1 is adopted, 400 people will die. If program 2 is adopted, there's a 1/3 probability that no one will die. I know there's a typo. And 2/3 probability that 600 people will die. Okay. So which program do you choose? Program 1, do A. Program 2, do B. All right, more people are willing to roll that dice. Boo! Daddy or mama needs a new town. Social distancing for the win. Stay in your damn home. All right, looks like both people are willing to roll the dice on this one. Okay, let me ask you this way then. Okay, same setup. Okay, lessened heat impact. Yes, lessened heat impact. Program A is adopted. So A and A go together. I don't know why I changed the A and the 1 and the 2 and the B, whatever. Program A is adopted. 200 people will be saved. If program B is adopted, there's a 1/3 probability that 600 people will be saved, and 2/3 probability that no people will be saved. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do, Ashlyn? No, nothing extra in my coffee. I actually got a good night's sleep last night, but I do enjoy this material. I do enjoy this material. The representativeness heuristic stuff was my dissertation. It was my doctoral dissertation. And I don't want to do any more research with it ever again. So we're 50-50 right now. 50-50. Oh boy. Oh boy. Start jamming to the music. Just waiting. It's just the kind of person I am, Maddie. Alright, more people are doing Program B. Again, rolling that dice. Stay at home. Jesus is coming. You know, that sort of thing. Similar percentages. Slayer Darth. So, I think we've got a pretty good split right here, right? We've got a pretty good split. 67-33, yeah? Alright, so let's break this down, and that way we will, this will be the end here. So Form A has a focus on risk. That's what the frame is. It's a loss frame, it's a risk frame, right? So Program 1, 400 people will die, right, if you do Program 1. Program 2, I'm going to roll the dice. 1/3 probability that no one will die, okay, so 0 deaths. 2/3 probability that 600 people will die, so everyone dies, right? Form B, however, people focus on gains, okay? So that's what the frame is. People will be saved, okay? So Program A, which is the same as Program 1, A and 1 are the exact same choices. 200 people will be saved, Program 1, or Program A, right? And if we look at Program 1, yeah, 400 people will die, but also 200 people will be saved. Program B, you'll see that it's the exact same probabilities and deaths, or savings, as Program 2. So 2 and B are the same. Here's the real kicker. Now, most of you were willing to roll the dice on both of them, which is fine. Back in 1981, when Tversky and Kahneman, the two really famous psychologists and behavioral economists, so Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize for Economics back in 2001, I think, somewhere around there. 2002, actually. So way back in 1981, they were doing these kinds of tasks with people, and they were asking them these questions. Back in 1981, they called it an Asian disease. So it didn't age well, but I changed that, and I specifically made it coronavirus because of the virulence of coronavirus these days. So for Form A, the first question, that focus on risk, 22 and 78%. So most people are willing to roll the dice on deaths because of the risk frame. Form B, on the other hand, this one, the focus on gains, more people were willing to adopt Program A. That wasn't you all, though. That was not you. 72 for Program A. Sorry, let me go back. Program 1 was 22%. Program 2 was 78% back in 1981. And that's typically what you see regardless. For Form B, Program A is 72%, and Form B is 28%. So that flips because saving lives gains, risking lives losses. This was identified by Tversky and Kahneman as cumulative prospect theory. Okay, cumulative prospect theory. And this is the last slide. Okay, so gains make people risk averse. We don't want to do that, and so I'm going to take the easy answer. That's why people chose Program A for the gain frame. Okay, the second one. Losses make people seek risk or make people more risky. So if you frame messages as risky, then people will go and seek that out, right? And that's how the gambling industry keeps you in the casino. They frame things as risky. They frame as losses, and so you keep playing. You keep playing. Now, there are individual differences as far as the person is involved and their personality. But, yeah. And I just realized I forgot to record this, so I'm going to have to download this from Twitch. Yeah, oh well. But that's cumulative prospect theory. How framing affects your decisions. Okay? Yeah, Slayer Darth. It is related to the prisoner's dilemma, for sure. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Quiz on Thursday, so no stream at 9:30 for y'all on Thursday. Let me know if you have any questions. Please email me, send me a message if anything is unclear. The material in the quiz is only since quiz 2, so it's only been about 2.5 weeks of material. So all of that information is on the slides on Brightspace. That's what you'll be tested on. Supplement your studying with the reading of the textbook, chapters associated with that. Yeah, quiz will be the same as you've seen it before. Alrighty, have a good day, everyone. I'll see you next Tuesday in chat. But otherwise, take care. Have a good Easter break.